Today's episode is definitely one you're going to want to listen all the way through. I got to interview my friend Heather Lackey today, who is the owner of Spotlight Social Media in Gilbert, Arizona. And we talked about a little bit of everything. If you're a mom and an entrepreneur, this is definitely one you want to listen all the way through. We talked about so many things: the power of pivoting, creating a new ripple for our families, overcoming childhood struggles, what social media looks like for small businesses, and the power of women's communities and having women to do business with. At the end of this episode, Heather will share 10 incredible social media tips that you can implement in your business right away. Be sure to follow Heather and Spotlight Social Media on everything that is linked here in the show notes. Enjoy! Welcome to Ladies Kicking Ass, a podcast for bold, entrepreneurial women who are seeking community and authentic connections. My name is Tanya Wilson. I'm a wife, mama, entrepreneur, and growth coach who is crazy passionate about supporting you, babe. Yep, the ambitious woman who is ready to call her own shots and create a life and business that she truly adores. The best part about this podcast is our conversations are real, raw, and unfiltered. We chat about it all: our wins, losses, business, family, friendships, and how to get the hell out of our own way and believe in ourselves and our big ideas. I'm your new hype girl, and I can't wait to see what you create when you start believing that you can be who and whatever you want. So come on, let's get inspired and learn something new today. Welcome to the Ladies Kicking Ass podcast. She will. Welcome back to another episode of Ladies Kicking Ass podcast. And my guest today is a friend and a wonderfully kind human being. You can tell from just, if you're watching this, looking at her, she's just such a warm spirit. And I just love being around this person. I met Heather Lackey is our guest, and I actually met her when she was in a former life of being an eyelash artist, and she is an incredibly badass eyelash artist. It was like the best naps that I ever took.
Right. So relatable.
And I loved it so much, but it's been so cool to see your transformation. And I know we spent plenty of hours, me laying on that table and you doing my eyelashes, talking about how much you wanted to be in social media marketing and how you wanted to pursue that goal. And it's so cool to see that you are stepping into that and that you are doing that. So my guest today is Heather Lackey, and her business is called Spotlight Social Media. You can find her on any of the socials by that name. And she is from Gilbert, Arizona. She's a hardworking single mama to an amazing little girl that tends to be following in those entrepreneurial footsteps, just like her mama. And everybody that listens to the podcast knows how much I love that and how much that makes my heart sing, because if we don't teach our babies how to do things, I don't want to leave it up to someone else. So I really look up to you for doing that stuff for your daughter. And so I just want to welcome you to the Ladies Kicking Ass podcast. I think you embrace that word so beautifully. So go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about you, not your business, but who's Heather?
Okay, awesome. Again, thank you for having me. Super stoked. And I love our backstory, and I love that we're here today. So it's like an extra layer of making this interview special. So thank you for having me. So I'm Heather from Gilbert, Arizona. I am a single mom, as Tanya said. I have a 10-year-old daughter. She'll be 11 in a couple months and approaching 25. I feel like all the moms can relate to that as they get to this age. She's already, this is there. But yes, she's my little soon to be, actually currently a little entrepreneur herself. So her and I, gosh, we love to cook together. We love to swim. Her and I love to listen to true crime documentaries together. She's my best friend through all of this, and my ride or die, as they say. And I think that makes me work even harder. And hopefully I'm a good role model to her. I'll tell you a funny story. I just spoke at a conference and I came back and she was asking me about it. And she was like, I really want to be a business owner. I don't want to do anything else. I want to own businesses. And she didn't say any type of niche or anything, but just a business owner in general.
Mhm.
And she's going down the path, and she had kind of told me like she was proud of me and she was excited. And then at the end, she was like, you know, I'm just really inspired by, and I thought she was going to say, you, Mom. And she goes, I'm just really inspired by Elon Musk. And I just want to be a business owner. And I just laughed so hard because I thought she was about to say me. And she said Elon Musk. So, but she's so funny. But we have a 1-year-old golden doodle as well. Her name is Molly. She is love in dog form. She is the best temperamented dog. And so we have our little bachelorette pad, us 3 girls, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's so awesome. And Molly is just so stinking cute. Oh my gosh. My kids have not stopped talking about her. Like, can we just get a dog like Molly?
Yes, she loved you guys.
Oh,
A picture of Cash and her. So stinking cute. So stinking.
yeah.
I love it.
She's such a cute puppy. So cute. So, like you said, and we've kind of already jumped into this a little bit, I really want to talk about like the example that you set as being a single mom. We have that in common too, very much like it started businesses when we were single moms. We went after that big thing that we were like, shit, we don't have the security of this paycheck. We don't have, which isn't security at all. It's a fallacy anyways, but we needed to make that schedule so that we could be the present moms that we wanted to be. So why do you feel like, and maybe you could give a little bit of your journey of this too, why it's so important that we show our children what is possible by living the example of stepping out and doing that big, crazy goal of owning your own business?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that question because we do have little eyes on us. And there's that famous quote, you know, more is caught than taught. So they're always watching and catching on to what we're doing. And we can teach them and tell them, but at the end of the day, we do have to lead by example. So thank you for acknowledging that, and back at you too, because I know you live that for your family, and Aisley with her business, you know, it's incredible. So I think it's so important because we live in a world where all eyes are on us, and we are heavily influenced by what we see, as we talked about earlier, on social media. And the pressure out there from society to kind of, it's so old school. I feel like it's a little archaic now, but most people don't live by this anymore, but to go to school every day and you do your homework, and then eventually you're going to go to college and you get the 9-to-5 job. And that's kind of the trajectory that they kind of paint for the younger generation, and even for our generation too. But I feel like that mold and that glass ceiling has been broken. And it's awesome to show our little ones and just youth in general, no matter who you're inspiring, that it's okay to do something different. It's okay to start your own business. It's okay to like lead by example and not do what everybody else is doing. And I love doing that for my daughter, just showing her that you work hard, you can do whatever you want to. And that was a little bit of my journey. Was I used to be a teacher, and I had to leave. I loved it so much. It was just in my DNA to teach, and I still look for that outlet to educate others still, but I couldn't live off that one paycheck anymore. And the cost of living was surpassing what I was making, and I had to make a change, and it was absolutely terrifying. But I love that I was able to set that example for Madison and show her that it's okay to take a risk. I left that job with like hardly any money saved up. I just didn't make enough to have this like massive savings to live off of, and left it and pursued aesthetics. And yeah, I started doing lashes and brows, and that was terrifying at first. But I used what I do today to build my business. And I love that she kind of got to see that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to not have it all figured out, and to pursue what you want. And I just at that time, like you said, it's kind of a fallacy. I wanted to make more, but that wasn't the only goal. I wanted this lifestyle of time with my daughter and time for myself, and not be a slave to the 9-to-5. And I was working way longer than 9-to-5, honestly. And it's so nice now to have the freedom and set my own schedule to do what I want, and show her that she can do that too.
Yeah. It's so important. And I think one of the biggest things, like when I talk to my kids and they see it, thank you for saying Kanata, because I say that stuff all the time.
Me too.
I'm like, they're watching everything. In fact, at the Growth Day conference I went to, Ed Milet was speaking there. And he was talking about, oh my God, he's the most powerful, moving speaker I've ever listened to in my life. It was incredible. But he was talking about how we sit and tell our kids, you can be anything that you want to be. And he said, like, one of his biggest fears and things that you really need to be thinking about is if you're sitting and telling your kids they can be anything that they want to be, what if the kid turned around and said, how come you're not doing that?
Right.
And what great neglect that truly is to your children to not go after what you want out of life too. You think that you're staying protected by staying in this small space, or you think I just like, this is what I chose to do. I'm going to do this. And that, so I have to do it forever. And meanwhile, you're telling these little kids, like, you can go to the moon, you can be the president, you can do all these things. And they look at you and say, well, why are you so, like, why are you so miserable? Like, why did they come? If like with the way that he said that just came back like, holy shit, like you have to set an example. You can tell them not to do something, but they're watching you. And trust me, they're thinking, but you do it.
Right.
Like, don't talk bad about people and don't do this and get off of social media, the scroll, not necessarily off social media, but like quit playing the video games all the time. Meanwhile, you're literally just buried in your phone the whole entire time. So that is a huge thing. And I think by showing them what productive things can be done with social media, it can be done by sitting behind the computer and working on your big hard goals. It's really important that we talk to them and we tell them what we're working on, because it's amazing to me. My husband was just saying, he's like, when we were at the conference, he's like, my kids don't even know what I do. And that really bothers me. And
Yeah.
it made me like stop and think, like, how many people feel that way?
Right.
I know that my kids know what I do because I talk about it nonstop and they're always sitting in my office with me. But a lot of parents don't talk about it. And a lot of times I think it's because there's a little bit of shame wrapped around because they want to be doing this and they're stuck doing this.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I could see that. I used to hear that a lot. And I have an awesome example that was set for me by actually my dad. He's very much an entrepreneur and I've seen him try and fail and succeed and succeed and succeed. And so I've had a really great example of that, but I have seen the alternative as well. And absolutely, I think they shy away from, they're not living their full potential, and they probably know that. And I think it becomes harder to lead by example, like you said, when you're not doing it yourself and they want to, but they just have, it reminds me of the analogy you just used. Actually, they have that cast on, they're kind of in that safe space. They could take it off and they know there's bigger and better things and they're stronger when they do, but they kind of stay in that cast because it's comfortable. And it does trickle down to the other generations. Absolutely.
It truly does. And that was something that Ed touched on too. Like the Rockefellers didn't just become they haven't been rich their entire life. Like somebody had to step up and they had to do it. They changed their family tree. They decided this isn't who we are, not just dentists. We are not just this. We are not just this. We have went a non-traditional route and now we're here for our families. We're making great money. We're not the one that talks about our woes all the time. We're actually lifting people up and doing stuff. And if you find yourself in one of those families or those situations where you just feel like it's been a struggle forever, like it's a struggle. Like I grew up in a small town in Wyoming. Everyone fucking struggled all the time. And it was like, you didn't earn it unless you struggled through something, And it was one of those things that my husband and I have talked about. Like he would often say like, well, when I was a kid, I didn't get blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm like, we have worked. I very gently had to have the conversation and just kind of give some perspective to him of how I felt on that. Was like, I have worked my ass off. So my kids will never understand the struggles that I had as a kid. I don't feel like that makes them stronger because they're dealing with their own level of struggles that we didn't have when we were their age either. But what we are doing is we are changing this. We're not talking about the old story anymore. What are we building so that they have something to look forward to? And how can they be a part of that? And I think it's like people live, Brendan Burchard said that this weekend too, like people live in their childhood for far too long and then they put it on their kids. And then they put it on their kids and they put it on their kids. And you have to be the one that breaks that cycle. And I was like, whoa, like this is everything that I think about in my head, but it was so beautifully put into that we can lead by example. And although you may be looked at as a little bit weird, like my daughter with her business, she's like, well, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want everybody to think I'm weird. And I'm like, but when you're 16 and you're able to buy that Jeep that you want and roll up to school and say, I bought this beast by myself, think about the pride that's going to be in your heart because you weren't too scared to talk about stuff.
Right. And the people now that are kind of judging are probably going to be the ones that end up working with her for her, So they're gonna be right there behind her. And it's so crazy you said that. I feel like we just went through the same thing because the conference I just went to, Brad Lee talked a little bit about that. He was like, so many people think it's a deficit that I'm doing to my kids because he's like, we're blessed. He's like, but they call it, they're going to be selfish and spoiled and you're handing everything to them and they're not going to work hard. He's like, no, I'm teaching them to work hard. He's like, but I enjoy being fucking rich while I do it. He's like, I don't have to go like, well, back then I didn't have this. And that's just, it's like a poverty mindset and you limit yourself. It's so small minded to think like that. And to be able to show them like, hey, like, yeah, there is this history and this is how I got here, and this is what we're going to continue to do. We're not going to let our kids grow up in this mindset too of like, well, my mom's childhood was like that and now mine's like this and then theirs is going to be like that. They're going to break that mold. And I'm so glad you mentioned that because he talked heavily about that and everybody was laughing, but it's just so true. Like I want my daughter to be like that. I want her to work hard. I'm not going to hand everything and then just make her not try, but I teach her to earn it. And that's the biggest difference, I think, is it's going to be earned. And Maddie wants to buy her first car too. So I'm like, let's do it. Let's get you there.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's so important more than ever because as a teacher, you saw all of this stuff too. There's like this participation trophy ribbon entitlement bullshit that is floating around. And it's not just our kids. There's plenty of people that's mine and your age that are exactly the same way. I'm like, how the hell are you living at home still? Like, do you still have to go to your mom and ask for money? Like, what are you doing? Like, that is my worst nightmare, to have to rely on somebody to provide money for me to be able to live the life that I want to live.
Yep.
It's just so crazy to me. It's just so crazy. But we've got to, like, teaching those kids to earn things, teaching those kids to work. I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, if you know how to work and you know how to be a kind person, you're already 99% ahead around of most people, because it's odd to find a nice, kind person anymore.
Right. It's crazy.
Without them expecting something, like, how can I contribute? Having that contributor's mindset is such a beautiful thing, and will get them so far, whether they decide to be employed or to go out on their own and start their own business. I think it's just so cool. I could talk to you forever about this because I know you share a lot of that stuff, but I really want to talk to you, segue into what you do for a living and what Spotlight social media does. And what really is the point of having social media for small businesses? Because when I talk to companies and even the couple little small contractors that I consult for and with, they're always like, I only post 3 times a week because I don't want to bug people, or I don't really see the point of being on Instagram. Like, a lot of them are very like Facebook, if that's all that it, if they're doing social media at all, it's Facebook only. Yes. What is the point of connecting with people? Like, why do I don't have enough followers? I don't have this, I don't have this. So tell us what the point is of actually having social media for a small business and what it can do to transform their business and their unique brand.
Okay. I hope we have enough time because I have so much to say about that. And that's like my heart and soul into it. So, okay, give me 1 hour. No, it's fine. So I'm gonna record this part myself too. But I want to backtrack really quick to something you said about, kids following their parents' footsteps really quick, because it ties into social media. It's a great segue. There's this kind of stigma we live in right now about everything resulting to AI. Everything's about convenience. Everything is automated. Everything is AI focused. And I heard a great quote recently that was, AI is not going to take away the jobs in the future. Someone who knows how to use AI is going to be the ones who are successful. And I thought that was super powerful. So just knowing what niche they want to go into and learning how to use the tools around it, such as social media being one of them, I think is super powerful for the next generation. Because like we spoke about, everybody's kind of wants to be the influencer and be online, but that's not the only job opportunity. If you want to be online, you can still be online and on all the social media platforms, but not as a YouTuber or an influencer. So many ways to do it. So social media is a passion of mine. And it's funny, I didn't realize, I think the origin of me liking social media goes a lot deeper than I ever realized. When I did lashes and stuff like I talked about, I started to fall in more with love and more with making the content. I started realizing I really love producing the content and editing more than anything else. And then I realized too, when I was teaching, I had a teaching Instagram, and I loved posting my lessons on there and everything. And it was just kind of funny how my path got to where I am, because I told my story recently to someone else and I was like, oh, wow. I was like, I even did Instagram when I was teaching, and I loved posting my lessons and project ideas, learning from other teachers. And I'm like, maybe the origin of my story is a little further back than I realized. But I got to spotlight social media because of my own personal story. When I left teaching, I was terrified. And then I started doing lashes and brows and pursued aesthetics. And I didn't have all the money saved up to do marketing and everything. And so I went to social media as my source of marketing, basically. And I never paid a dime for it. I just got out there and showed my brand. I told my story and showed who I was. And my books stayed full just because of social media. And I had one really cool moment. I had a video I posted. I just recorded something one day and threw it up late one night on TikTok. And within a week, I had over 20 million views. And I gained over 125,000 followers on TikTok. And that resulted in over 12,000 followers on Instagram, which is like where my main following has come from now. I already had a couple thousand from a few years. And then that 1 week, over 12,000 new faces, and it was like global. People were leaving comments in other languages, and I couldn't believe the massive reach it had. And I was like, there's something here, like this can be more than what I'm using it for. And so then I really delved into learning how it worked. I wanted to know how the algorithm worked. I wanted to know when to post and why, and like to really make it successful. And so, sorry, I'm recording us too. So that's to go back to your question about kind of what is the point. I realized from my own experience what the point was and how to use it as a tool to leverage and scale your business, no matter what niche you're in, or if you're even an individual who is an influencer or a public speaker, you're branding yourself. So my answer for you is going to be threefold. So the first one is social media in general, whether it is your personal page or your business page, is to tell a story. And I know we had a prior conversation about that, but especially since after COVID, it's really been magnified that people want to connect. They want to support those small businesses. They want to know the why, and they want to know that whoever they're watching or investing their time or money into, is there's something they resonate with that person. And so you want to get on there and just tell a story. And then the second part of the answer is connection. They kind of tie in together, but you want to get on there and connect with your audience. And the point is to connect with them. Brad Lee has a popular quote that is, the more money you, or the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And social media, like quadruple or more than that, enhances that reach for you. You might not be physically shaking a hand, but you're going to reach so many more people being online, having an online presence. So tell your story, create a connection with your audience. I think one of the best things a business page can do is show some face and some personality on your page. Let people see who you are. Especially if you're a product-based business, don't only post your product, like post your face, let people connect with you. And the other super advantageous tool of kind of what's the point of having social media is a lot of business owners I've worked with will say things like, well, I already have a website. I run ads, I have a website. Why do I need social media? And a website's so different. A website can sit there pretty static for a while. A lot of business owners will update it maybe quarterly or a couple of times a year, and the same information just sits there. And that's great. Websites are awesome. I'm not saying don't have a website, but social media is like a daily portfolio of your work. It is a way to show every day that behind the scenes, that just raw, authentic side of your business. And that's the point of having it, which again goes back and it intertwines with the previous two pieces, is you're connecting with your audience, you're telling your story every day. And it's way more than just a couple of informational things on a website, a couple pictures that usually stay the same or kind of slideshow across the top, but it's just a daily, it's free. It's a free portfolio to show you every day. It's free to create an Instagram account. It's free to create a Facebook page. And it's free to post. You just need your phone. We've all got a smartphone now with a video camera and can take pictures. And I tell people, don't stress. Don't make it a big production. Just be real and just show you or your business. And automatically from all of that, it will convert to, we all know the end goal, of course, is to, generate an audience or generate some sales. So conversion will happen if you do those things. Just post consistently and bring value to be a credible source for your audience, and everything else will fall into place.
Excellent.
That was a lot. Sorry, that was a lot.
No, it's so good. Oh my gosh, I want to dive into all of that. So I will tell you right now that the social media stuff that we talk about on the podcast is always the most social media and accounting.
Yes.
People
I just
have lots of
listened
questions.
to your bookkeeper's podcast this morning. I listened to the bookkeeping one because that's something I need to learn more about. And so, yeah, that's the one I went to right away.
That is the number one podcast of all of them. It's so crazy. But there's so much there's good nuggets in there, and Tiffany's so awesome. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I think that I hear, especially in the home service business, I'm in with the septic stuff, and the people that I work with are contractors, handymen, things like that. I'm looking over this incredibly cool list, if you will, of things that Heather has put together that I'll go ahead and tag in the show notes so that you guys can download it and you can check it out yourselves too. But I just want to go through this a little bit and talk about and kind of really micro in on how they can do all of those wonderful things that you just talked about. Because I think the big thing with social media is that people are great, I can do this. And although content creation for us is so simple, if I could just get paid to do that all day long, I would be in so much heaven, because I love the creative process of that. But a lot of times people that are trying to do this, they don't love it, or they struggle coming up with ideas. And even something as small as a prompt can get them to think, oh shit, well, I could be spotlighting my office manager. I could be spotlighting my service technician. I can humanize a business and make people connect with me on a more genuine level than it just being I pump shit. Guess what? Now we're doing an inspection. Now we're cleaning this. Oh, guess what? We do this. And then we do this. And then people are okay, I get it. But who are you? I think is one of the biggest and coolest things to put into business social media. So I know a big part of social media too that people get hung up on is they're we only have 100 people that follow me. And it's one of those things we hear our kids talk about, oh, you only have 500 people, it's this big thing, you call it the vanity metrics. Yes. So talk to us a little bit about audience size, and does it matter? Does it not matter? And how can you leverage that?
Absolutely. This is such a hot topic, and it's kind of Instagram and some of the other platforms are kind of to blame, because they did kind of set us up in the beginning for that being your worth on social media. How many followers do you have and how many likes are you getting? And I know by nature, sure, if we see two businesses who offer the same thing, we might go and look at their social platforms or Google reviews, and you might be more inclined to go with somebody that it looks like they've been around longer because they have a larger following, or maybe they have more reviews, kind of that clout, but that's what they kind of call those vanity metrics. But nowadays we kind of live in this falsified world of a lot of people are purchasing those things and they're not real. So I always tell people really do your research on your business, because sometimes those vanity metrics are fake. You can go and buy likes and followers and everything, but they truly don't quantify your value on social media. I heard this great quote one time, and it was imagine someone had said something oh man, this picture only got 73 likes or something along those lines. And this guy was imagine if right now, let's say it was a cute selfie or something, and you have 73 people lined up ready to walk up and say, I like your outfit. I like your makeup. I like your hair. I like whatever they like about the photo. I like you, you know, because like, imagine how good you would feel. Like if we have like a stranger one day be like, hey, your hair looks good, or who does your hair? You're like, oh, thanks. And that's such like a warm feeling. Imagine 73 people doing that to that one person. And it has like embedded in my mind that I have that image now. I still fall into that way of like, oh man, that video didn't go as far as I wanted it to, or oh my God, 100 likes. And I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, think back, you know, what if I had 100 people coming up to me physically and saying, I like your content, I like what you're doing. And I think the goal when we put social media content out isn't, I want to impact millions of people, right? We're like, you know what? I want to help somebody. I want someone to see this and be helped by it. Like, I know when I post, I'm not thinking that large. It'd be really cool if it did. But my goal is like my local community or whoever my audience is. And my audience isn't the entire world. And I think we have this perception that we have to please the entire world when we post, and we have to get all of this, like almost like words of affirmation. We have to get all of this, what is the word?
Validation.
Validation, yeah, and it's not like that. So those vanity metrics, they don't really matter anymore. And then plus the algorithm doesn't look at that anymore. I'll give you a quick backstory about Instagram really quick. Specifically, I work mostly with Instagram, but this is applicable to like TikTok and other ones. Originally, like I said earlier, it was all about the vanity stuff. How many likes are you getting and how many followers do you have? And they started realizing that doesn't really bring value and quality to a page. Like I could go follow a page today and then never go back to it again, right? And I think a lot of us, we honestly do that. It kind of reminds me of Pinterest.
Oh yeah.
Pin stuff and never go back and really do those home projects or cook those recipes, you know, but we saved it. So Instagram specifically started looking at, okay, so a real quality, real value is more than just following or liking something, because it takes 0.1 second to double tap and then scroll. So they started putting more emphasis on just like engagement. So first it was, okay, if someone really likes your content and you're putting out good stuff, they're probably going to follow you, they're probably going to like it, but they're probably going to do something more than that and probably comment. But a good comment with substance will be 4 words or more. So there was a lot of input on, or a lot of value placed on comments. And then from there, it was like, well, anybody can take 2 seconds and leave an emoji and then scroll away. So then it was, you have to like it, comment, and then it was share it or save it. And really good content is going to be shared or saved because they're going to want to show their community, or they're going to want to save it, look at it later. So you hear the influencers, it got really chaotic. It was like and subscribe and follow and comment and share and do a backflip, you know, and it was like all these things you had to do to show you like the content. And it got a little crazy. Now, and you know, for anybody listening, here's where you really get the good stuff now is Instagram. All they care about now is like the engagement and like the duration somebody's on your page. So for your page example, I could go to your, let's say your junk removal page. And I could watch some of the videos or read some of the meet the team type of posts, read some of your testimonials. I might not comment. I might not like anything. I could just be what they call you're looking, not booking, just kind of eyes on your page. But if I spend 12 minutes on your page scrolling through everything, Instagram algorithm registers that as quality content. You did something that made me stay on your page for 12 minutes. I'm just spitballing random numbers here. But let's say I go to a competitor's page and nothing catches my eye. Maybe they don't post a lot and I notice it's old stuff and I'm on there for less than 30 seconds and I close it out. Instagram realizes maybe there's not quality stuff on there because I'm not staying. So it doesn't matter how many followers you have. You could have 100. Let's say you have a course you sell online. If you have 100 people who are following you, who are buying your course and engaging with you, you could probably make 6 figures and way more money than somebody who bought 20,000 followers. And those robots are doing nothing. They're not engaging with their content and they make $0. That happened to an influencer recently on TikTok. She has this massive following and it came out that it was fake. It looked real, but she created like 30 sweatshirts and she was doing this super exclusive sweatshirt clothing line drop. And within like a week, she sold 6. And she was super upset. And some people were like, how is this possible? I can't remember her number. It could have been close to 1 million, or it was like hundreds of thousands. They're like, how did you only sell 6? You have such a loyal following. And it came out that she bought them. They're not real. And I thought that was a really cool just visual, a really cool moment to be like, this is exactly what social media managers will tell you, you know?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I try to focus on, I have a content strategy I use. It's called the 5 C's. Each component starts with the letter C. And I'll share a couple of them on here today, but a couple of them are, one of them is conversation/connection. And that's the biggest component that's going to help you with your content. And you don't have to overthink it. Just ask a question, post something relatable, post something that you know your audience is interested in, and just connect with them. You work with a lot of homeowners, you know, anything you can speak to about just homeowners in general. You could talk a lot about the junk removal one, the septic tank business, but if you got on there too, just about the bullshit we have to deal with as a homeowner, and when these things happen that aren't so sexy that we have to deal with as homeowners, people relate to that, you know, and so that's a good way to skip those, what they call vanity metrics, and focus on actually what's really important. And that's just tell your story and connect, and those numbers will grow. They will.
Yeah. That is, I think I love that example. I have so many things going on in my head. I get to the point where I'm like, I can't talk.
I'm like, I need to make this a series because I have so much. I'm trying to give you the short answer, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to go back to the main question.
No. You know what? Okay, so you've got these 5 C's. What are the other 4? Take the time. Tell us what they are.
Okay, so we have one of my favorites is credibility. So you want to be a credible source. A lot of times I tell people, try to have the mentality of pretend your audience knows nothing about your industry, and you're going to bring them so much value by just educating them. That's kind of on the educational side of content. So just be a credible source. The other one is consistency. Just be consistent. And that a lot of times is mistaken for I have to post every day, multiple times a day. You really don't. Of course, the more you post, the more chances, it's probability, the more chances you have to reach more people, but you don't have to post every day. I could talk about that all day long, but maybe we'll circle back to it later. But just be consistent. If your page is we post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's great. Your audience is going to learn that you are consistent and you're credible. You show up when you say you are, and you post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they know to go look for it on those days. The 5th C, I'm going to jump just for a second, is conversion. So after you've done all of them, it is all about converting to whatever your goal or objective is. If it's to grow your audience and reach more people, great. If it's to sell a product, to get people to use your service, book public speaking engagements, you know, whatever your goal is, conversion is always the final one. So consistency, community is a huge piece of it. And I love all 5 C's. They all intertwine with each other in some way, but community is a really big one because that's our whole goal of being on social media anyways, is to reach an audience of whoever that is, depending on your niche. But whatever you can do to show that you're involved in your community is part of it. How does your business give back, or what do you do as an individual in your community? Like you, maybe going to speak at schools, going to these conferences with other strong women, doing the podcast. You have a great community for your business. So I don't want to skip any. So connection, community, conversation is another one. And that falls into the engagement piece. Try to start a conversation with that community. Figure out what people like and don't like, figure out what their pain point is and how you bring a solution to it. What can you offer them to solve their problem, if that's the case? And then after everything you've done, conversion will happen naturally. A lot of people hop on social media and they're immediately like, how do I monetize? How do I do this? How do I get the big numbers, the vanity stuff? And it's like, that's just not what it is. And sometimes I think we live in that world of convenience and we want the instantaneous gratification of everything and success, but you got to put a little bit of work in, and those are the ways to do it. And if you want, I'll send you a list of the 5 C's and a little description. I have a little sheet on what they are and what type of content you can post to target those 5 different categories and kind of have a healthy like 20% of each on your page. I'll send that over to you if you want to include it in the show notes or post it somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Girl, we're gonna have to do a masterclass in my membership on this whole thing, because we could go on and on and on and on about this, because we can preach this so much, but like giving them, and you give the 5 C's is beautifully put together, by the way, because those are all incredibly important things to do. But I think that as business owners, people get caught up in, they're like, I see what I want. You gave me the 5 C's. Now, what the hell am I supposed to do this? So when people are hung up on content creation, is there like a quick tip or something? She just wants
Already,
to talk.
I
She
know
wants to talk. Go with that. What's the content creating strategy or tips you can give a business owner that isn't a natural like we are at creating content?
Absolutely. Okay, so first, I'm going to share what the most popular type of content is. And that is something called UGC content. And that stands for user generated content. And I'm going to go back to the conversation we had before this and kind of joke about the Kardashian analogy. But
Yeah.
people like to relate and resonate with your content. They want to know, like I said, the why, and they want to know why they should trust you. Basically, why are you credible? And so I joked about this at the conference I was just at. We were just kind of laughing about it earlier about less and less people are relying on like celebrity input because they know that all of that content they put out is paid for. We don't truly know at the end of the day if they're actually using that product or that service or not. Kind of like the Kardashians are popular for those gummies they say they eat to grow their hair all beautifully. Who knows? Maybe they do actually, partake in those vitamins, but because it's so polished and it's such a production and it's usually a commercial, it's paid, people don't connect with that as much. But if you're someone, a friend of yours hops on, a fellow business owner, someone you go to church with, a family friend hops on and says, hey guys, I've been taking these gummies for a while and look, like my hair actually has grown about an inch. It's a little softer and shiny. And they kind of give this like raw, authentic review, basically. You're more inclined to work with them or to want to use that product. And so user generated content, if I hop on with my phone, I'm like, hey guys, I just want to shout out Tanya's business. They just came and picked up all of the junk I had outside my house. They were so nice. They were on time, and I compliment your business in any way. And I'm like, here's her tag, reach out if you need this service. More people are going to trust me rather than like, the paid for actor, like whole production. So,
yeah.
And I think, and so knowing that, some people are a little afraid to be in the front of the camera though, which totally understand. It took me a long time to warm up in front of the camera as well. And so,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's a little awkward. And so, but you don't have to be in front of the camera. You can, one of my favorite quotes is document, don't create. I'm going to say it again because I love it. Document, don't create. Like if you just really, truly never wanted to be on camera, you never would have to. You could just go to your job sites and maybe you could talk and let people like explain what's going on, but you don't have to be in front of it. Hold your phone. Like, hey guys, we're here in Gilbert today at the Smith's house where we're cleaning their septic tank and my guys are doing da-da-da, and you record like a 30-second video and just kind of show what's going on. You're just documenting your day. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing all these, crazy edits and again, making a production out of it. And then you can just post it on your Instagram story, post it on your Facebook page. Are you in need of this service as well? Give us a call today. Here's a little sneak peek of what we did for the Smiths family this afternoon. And just document your day. You don't have to create crazy content and hire videographers and professional photographers. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Some people do that, and that's great. It can depend on your niche. It depends on your goals. So I'm not saying, stop all of those things if you're doing it, but getting started or just having that fear of putting content out, you don't have to. That can really be broken down by just walk around and kind of document your day. Another thing I wanted to share was if you feel like you're stuck, one of the best things you can do to get content going until you kind of find your content lane and figure out what you want to do with your page is alliterative content, and numerical content is some of the top performing. Alliterative could be something like Testimonial Tuesday. You don't have to be in front of the camera for that. Screenshot a Google review. You could turn it into a fun graphic if you want, or however you want to. You can even screenshot a text message if a client sends you a message and says, you guys did an awesome job. Every Tuesday, post a testimonial, on one of the pages I work with, we have 2 days a week that are alliterative, and they're kind of like, it's a episodic content. We post the same thing every Monday and Tuesday. Monday is Meet the Team Monday, and we spotlight somebody, put a picture up of them, and kind of tell who they are and what they do at the company. And my favorite part is where we share a fun fact about them too, so the audience will connect with them.
Yeah.
I'll divert and tell you this really quick. A gentleman recently did his Meet the Team, and he was like, "Hey, my name's Joe Schmo. This is what I do at the company. I've been with them for 5 years. Fun fact about me is I cook an amazing Italian dish called something, I can't remember. It was an Italian name. He says it beautifully. He's got that accent." And he had been to a client's house, and she was like, "I looked you guys up on social media. I actually saw your picture recently." And she was like, "My family loves that meal." And they connected over him posting about this Italian dish that he loves to cook. And he got the sale with them. And I think it's just because she resonated with him. It wasn't some random person at her home, but the fact that she saw that and she had a connection. And he's like, "We talked forever about Italian food." And it was done. The deal was done, And so
Yeah.
showing to how powerful social media is. But I love that. I love including those. So, Meet the Team Monday. You can just get creative if you can come up with something with your business name in it. It can just be Fun Fact Friday and share a fun fact about your industry. You don't have to be in front of the camera for any of those things. And they can all just be graphics, or you could screenshot something. Yeah. And then numerical was the other one. There's a kind of psychological thing. Like if we started this podcast and said, here are 5 ways to dominate on social media, people are like something goes on where you want to hear all 5, right? Like you're not going to be like, "Oh, I'll just listen to the first 2 and then carry on." Typically you want to hear all 5, and you want to see if it's new information that you don't already know. So if you can post numerical content, here are 3 things not to put in or flush down the toilet, because here's what it does to the septic tank, or here are 5 examples of items we can pick up for you. Like there's so many ways to run with that. But numerical content is popular, so I don't consider those. You don't have to be in front of the camera. You don't have to be nervous. You can be behind the camera always if you want. Maybe find someone else in your business who's comfortable being in front of the camera if you want to show some faces, but
Sure.
Yeah.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. Seriously.
I need to come up with like a 10 content list, or 10 like content ideas, and get that over to you as well. That way, if people feel it's like a prompt, but
you keep that one, and we'll do part 2 to this podcast, and then we'll go over those top 10.
Would love it.
That'd be a good one. So teaser, everybody.
And
I love on your what's that?
Sorry, so imagine that title. That'll probably attract a lot of people. Like, don't know what to post. Here's 10 content ideas, and I bet you they're going to take note of all 10, because it's just so much sense in our brain. We want to know all of them. So,
well, think about it. Like, you're probably a list lover. Are you a list lover? Do you make lists for everything?
I have Post-its everywhere.
Why. Because people,
I have 3 notebooks right here. They're all color coded for me to make a list on for different things I have to do.
Isn't that ridiculous? I have a list right here. I've got a list on my Post-it note block. Like, I got lists all over the place too.
Everywhere.
List makers are doers. They're achievers. They want to see the shit they got to do. And there is just like beautifulness in being able to highlight something and mark it off. It's like our own inner working of like, accomplish something. I accomplished something. So these lists are beautiful, and it's an incredible way to be able to connect with people in a very simple way. Like, how do you get in this? Like number 7 on your 10 social media tips is don't overthink it. You're the expert, and people just need your post. So just post it, It's those things where people think it has to be curated. It has to be pretty. Before we start this podcast, I always tell people, I'm not editing this. So if your dog barks or your kid runs in, guess what? They're in the podcast. We just roll with it. If it's something emergency, I'm always ready to hit pause for a moment, but I'm not editing it out, because I think the thing that is unique and connects people is they can see themselves in you. That is why they buy from you. That is why they follow you. That's why they connect with you. That's why they want to serve with you, is that they can see themselves in you. Just even in this conversation right now with the plans that I'm putting together for the summer for Ladies Kicking Ass, I'm like, you have to be an integral part of this, because I love the connection that we have. And I know that other people will be able to feel that as well. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to find that. And you don't know who you're going to connect with on this social media. I'll tell you, for my septic business, a lot of the people that connect with me on there are actually other septic companies too.
Yes.
And that is a really cool thing, because when I spoke at our wastewater conference, I spoke at a couple of them last year, people would come up to me and be like, I follow you on Insta. I love your Instagram. And I'm like,
Yes.
so random. They're like across the country and they do the same thing that I do. And they connect with me, whether they're connecting with the business to get social media posting ideas, or to be, like, it's so cool that this is a woman-owned business, like you're
Yeah.
making impact in places that you have no fucking idea that you are even reaching. So it's that consistency. Show up. Someone is watching you that needs you, and they will, even if they don't buy from you, the inspiration that you're putting out into the world. Not all transactions are monetary transactions.
Right.
There's
I love that.
trust, and there's building friendships, and there's building connections, and you just never know who somebody knows that can lead to potential monetary, rewards for those things. But the
Right.
connections with people is so huge. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me for social media. And even with this podcast, I don't monetize this podcast, but what I want it to do is to drive inspiration to women that are in these kinds of industries and any kind of service
Right.
industry, really, to be like, oh my God, they're doing that. So why can't I do that? Because I think the world needs more people that will do that.
They really do.
So
Can't quantify that. Yeah.
no, you can't. You totally cannot. And when people try to, that's when you run into the situation that you just gave us an example of before. When your heart is in it for the money, your heart is not in it for the right reason. We all work because we need to pay for shit. Like, let's be honest, like we all do that. But if you've ever been in a job that you absolutely hate, that non-congruency with your mission and what you want to do, and
Yeah.
that job is just, it doesn't bring peace to your life. So if you can like put it out there, like, no, I'm not the one out there doing the septic tank pumping, but I have these incredible guys that work out in my field, and these ladies that work in my office, and the other guys that work in the office. And you can make a story of like, this is a life that's possible, and people really enjoy doing what they're doing, even though they're pumping shit. They're a part of something, and people want to be a part of something more than anything in the world.
Right.
So really putting that story out there of your business is so incredibly awesome. One thing real quick, if you've got time, I really want to go over this because it's in the handout and it's on the bottom part of this. And I think this is something I have no idea what the hell I'm doing with my Instagram bio. I just keep like changing it and putting weird random shit in there. So I'm going to have you audit all of mine too. But like 5 things your Instagram bio needs. What is the point of an Instagram bio, and what do they need to put in it? And just give us an overview on things that we can do to edit our stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So an Instagram bio is super, super important. And a lot of people don't know this, but if someone goes to search for you on Google, Google can actually rank you and put you in the search engine. And they can find your social media pages based on what your bio says specifically on Instagram. That's where they first pull some of that verbiage. And so I'll refer to one of my examples in there. This is actually like an SEO tip, kind of a search engine optimization tip. Think about what your audience is going to search for online when they go to look you up. A lot of people, obviously, if they are looking up, if they need, we'll use your junk removal business for an example. Mm-hmm. In general speaking, they're not going to go type in your name, Tanya Wilson, right? So, for example, in your Instagram bio where you have your name, like if you're, let's say your personal page, you were promoting your businesses, you could do a little hyphen, and then you could put some type of keyword in there that says like junk removal, business owner or specialist or service industry, something along those lines to help it be found. And it's kind of cool how Google will pull those. We've all been there. We searched on Google, and some of our top hits might be a couple of YouTube videos, or maybe like a social media page, a Facebook page. And that's because of the keywords you put in there. So I put an example in there. I have a client that is an auto detailing company here in Gilbert. They service the whole valley, based here in Gilbert. And so for their bio, part of something we did was we put auto detailer in Arizona, because I know if someone goes to Google, that's what they're going to search for on Google. They're going to type in auto detailer Gilbert, auto detailing in Gilbert or near me. A lot of times people will put the product or service plus their city. So we know that's how people are searching. I know that's what we do. If we go look for something, I might type in eyelash extensions in Gilbert, because that's where that's what I want to find. So we go search with intent. We go to those search engines to search with absolute intent. And so in your Instagram bio, if you can put like a one sentence that kind of tells who your business is or what you guys do, you can say something like that, like junk removal company, in Arizona, in Chandler, Arizona, in Gilbert, and you'll turn up in more search results. Something else you need is your location. Tanya, I can't tell you how many pages I have gone to on social media, Instagram specifically, and their location is nowhere to be found. On Instagram, when you make a post, whenever you put a picture up, it will ask you if you want to include the location. Super important. That has nothing to do with the bio, but if you're not putting your geolocation on, like with the pictures, and then you don't have it in your bio, we don't want to make our audience go on a scavenger hunt to find us or try to figure out where we are. When I was in aesthetics, there were so many pages. I would find an eyelash page. I'm like, oh, she does good work. Like maybe I'll have her do mine. And I would be looking and I'm like, no idea where this person is. She doesn't put it in her captions. It's not on her page. And then if you do take the time to message and say, hey, where are you located? And then you find out they're in like Seattle, Washington, like what a disappointment. So first or second line, you need to have where you are located or what areas you service. If you're nationwide, put that. We service nationwide, we ship nationwide, whatever it is, but let people know. And then you could always include like, Arizona agency or based in Arizona, but we ship nationwide, or kind of give them a clue, because people, they're going to read the first 2-3 lines and see if you meet their needs or have what they're looking for. And if they can't find that, you've lost them. Like videos, people watch the first 3 seconds or so, and if you don't hook them, they scroll. Instagram pages are the same way. So make sure, don't sleep on, as the kids say, don't sleep on this, make sure you have your location. Try to include a sentence or so, or even bullet points of what you do or what you offer. And I'm trying to remember what else I put on there for you guys. I had 5 things, right?
Clear location, clear sentence.
The
links.
Whenever you create your Instagram bio, if you click edit profile, it will ask you if you want to include a URL. And Instagram loves when you use all of their tools. So don't leave any fields blank. Fill in everything if you can. If you don't have a website, put a link to something else. Maybe your Instagram can lead to your Facebook page or another social media platform. Maybe you've been featured in an article, put the article if you, had an interview or something, a podcast link, like anything you can put, just don't leave any of the fields blank. The more you use their stuff, the more they're going to help you out and push you to a larger audience. So have your links. I love Linktree. If you have multiple links, Linktree is a great way to have all your links listed for you. Getting the landscape. I love how this is going to be raw and not edited. The landscaper is like right outside my window. Can you hear it?
I can't even hear it. I've recorded multiple podcasts with landscapers out in front of my house too, and they turned out
glanced
good.
over. I was like, no, not right now. So having your links in there is super important, so people can do some research. And then the final thing is some type of call to action. You can put some type of emoji or sentence that says, click below for more. And it's your website. Having your phone number up there, or Instagram actually allows you to add a call to action button. If anybody ever wants help with that, message me, I'll show you how to do it. But you can select your thing that says like schedule now, book now, request a quote, get a quote, call me, all those, email us, contact us, all those things are there. So having some type of call to action, again, this depends on your niche. Sometimes they're not, they're not going to all be the same, but definitely have a CTA. Get people to engage. It's another psychological thing. If you say, like the auto detailer, for example, if they go on your page, they see your pictures, and you say, call us today for a quote, it almost sounds like a command, but indirectly, you're not demanding they call you. But if you tell them, call us for a quote, they might be like, yeah, I do actually want to get my car detailed. I'm gonna call and see what their price point is. And it just, or message us for a quote, and they do it.
Yes, you should always, that's something that I always teach too, is like invite them to take the next action with you. I think a lot of times people are scared, like even when you're teaching people to, like when I teach my dispatch people to take phone calls, give them the price and say, how quick are you looking to book that? And if they get their time frame, great, I have one on Tuesday. Would you like to get that booked? Don't ever just allow them to think about this. They have to answer the question, yes or no. It's when you're providing a service, when you're giving them information, that call to action, like that's the purpose of doing what you're doing, is to get them to take action and to become part of who and what you're doing online. So that one's really important, because you see so many people that even run like Facebook ads or Instagram ads and there's no call to action on them.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with this?
A big problem I've seen too is a lot of people, their call to action can be like almost like a yes or no question. Like, are you in need of this? And it's beneficial if somebody says, yeah, I am. But if your answer is no, then they're instantly going to deter from it. But if your call to action doesn't sound like a yes or no question, but it's like, message us here to book, we have openings Tuesday, Thursday. You're automatically not going to be thinking, do I want this service or not? You're going to be thinking, does Tuesday or Thursday work for me? And then you go from there. So your call to action, have strategy behind it. But at the end of the day, if you're just starting out, put something there for now to, like you said, lead them to the next step. And it could, because you want people to, I think it comes back to connection. You want them to connect with you. You want to invite them to buy your product or use your service, and not just be like, this is what we offer, here's photos of what we do, and make it just sound like, if you want to go with us, cool. If not, whatever. Like, you want people to be like, hey, we're excited. We want to help you. How can we help you? Click here to call us. We're happy to give you a quote. We love what we do. Like, look at all this stuff on our page, and, just humanize what we're doing.
Yeah. Yep. Create a little FOMO in that whole, thing you're putting in there too.
I love it.
There is nothing wrong with that, because if you are truly doing what you love, people should have a fear of missing out, or that you feel bad. Dean Graziosi always says, I truly feel bad if people don't take the offer that I'm putting out there, because I know how great my content is and how much it will help them. That's why I am a ninja at like repeatedly like getting them to look at it from different angles, to get the stuff, get the course, buy the book, do the things, because what I'm doing, I believe in so much that I feel sorry for people that don't partake in it. That's what I make it for, is to share it with people. So that's always been like in the back of my mind of like, you have to come with us, like grow with us, do this, be part of this ladies kicking ass community. This membership's incredible. You get master classes from women like Heather that are like, blow your mind with social media. And then if you want to follow up, she is great and she has her own business and she can help you do those things. You're helping promote someone else's business and giving education to the people that are looking so hard for it. And that is the whole purpose of this community, bringing those people together. Yes. It's so huge. I can't even tell you, like when I jumped into getting into the septic industry, my ex-husband was like, I need you to run this business with me. And I'm like, great. And so what do I do? Like, how do I set up QuickBooks? What am I supposed to do about building a website? Like, I bought the HTML for Dummies book and figured out how to, code shit, because back then there wasn't WordPress and all this cool stuff to do stuff with. So like, you truly can like find that community of people. Heather's an incredible asset in the Ladies Kicking Ass community to be able to get in and ask questions about social media. She truly has a servant's heart, and she wants to help everybody as much as possible do the best so that they can be found, build an excellent, unique online brand that will set you apart from everybody else. And you're just an incredible role model to women in our community. Being a single mom, I was getting super emotional about this because it's like, I love you, first of all, but like you're doing it. And it's so cool to see you doing it. And your eyes just light up when you start talking about this stuff. And so it's a really cool thing. You touch me a lot when you do what you're doing out there, and I can see what you're doing. And the video of you being on stage talking was really cool. So my daughter watches those too, and she's like, Heather's talking. And I'm like they pay attention to stuff like that. So thank you for being a good role model for all of these girls that are out there. It's really cool.
Appreciate that so much.
So I'm gonna quit being a baby here. And
I get emotional about it too. It's hard. I posted on social media. Sorry, I don't mean to go off on another thing, but I posted on social media recently, and my post was just, being a single mom is hard. And I just left it at that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't looking for sympathy. I needed an outlet at that moment. And I had so many things I wanted to express. And I'm like, you know what? It's just hard. And so I got a lot of love on that post, which was super nice. And I appreciated what people just resonated with it, you know. And again, that piece wasn't meant to really do anything. I wasn't trying to see how many likes I got on it, you know, but it promoted some conversation, and so many people relate to that. And so I want to compliment your platform. It's such a beautiful place to be able to go and just know that, like you said, we are each other. We're all dealing with the same stuff, you know, maybe in different ways or at different times, but we can all relate to each other, and we all have the same struggles. And it's such a great place to go for, you know, to be uplifted and just reminded, like, hey, you might feel alone right now, but you're not. And so I appreciate you. I love you back. I miss seeing you as much as I used to, but we'll fix that. Life's just been crazy, but I appreciate
now I have to come see your new house. So, you know,
definitely.
you have a pool and I don't. No.
Yes, we can take advantage of that. I'm an expert.
You got to have those friends that's got the swimming pool. If you live in Arizona like we do. So one last question in closing that I always ask all of my guests, because I'm fascinated with this. Whenever I tell people that my podcast name is Ladies Kicking Ass, it's like neck breaking. Like, what? Like, what do you talk about on there? What do you mean, ladies kicking ass? What is this? So I always like to get, in your words, what does the phrase ladies kicking ass mean to you?
Ooh, I love this question. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm such a talker. I'm like, let me make sure I give this answer in like a normal amount of time.
You're good.
To me, it's almost like a way you define success. So I feel like if you hear someone say like, these ladies are kicking ass, you might automatically default to they're successful, no matter at what level they're successful. And that looks different for everybody. But I measure how I'm kicking ass or success by how I'm able to give back. And that's what I love about your podcast is it's a ladies kicking ass, but they get on here and everybody talks about how they can help one another, and they give back to the community in some way, shape, or form, whether it's little golden nuggets they drop about bookkeeping or social media, or just being a mom and just getting from sun up to sundown every day. To me, that is what kicking ass means. It's not this huge successful, 7-figure story. It's celebrating the small wins and how we got there. And that's ladies kicking ass to me.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. So good. And I resonate with that a ton. Thank you so much, Heather, for being on here. And I'm very serious that masterclass, definitely. I would love to have you on to do that. And give you an hour to just live in your teacherness and teach us all about social media. And definitely we'll be doing more of these podcasts, because this is a hunger not only just for social media, but the connection of being a mom, doing the things that you're doing about building your business in conjunction with all the nuggets that you gave us about social media today. And I know that you have tons more that will truly help a lot of people. So thank you so much. Where is the best place for people to support you, find you, talk to you, ask you questions, do business with you? Tell us the best place to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in the process of growing this into something more, but I am a freelancer right now, and I kind of am developing my own personal brand. And then I have a trajectory I'd like to go, or a path I'd like to go down. But right now, social media wise, I would say reach out to me on Instagram. I know you're going to include my handle, but my handle on there is H as in Heather. So it's H Lackey, my last name, and then 85. So feel free to add me or message me. I am all about giving back. so someone wants to have a couple questions or a conversation or a call, I'm always down to hop on and help somebody else. So Instagram's a great place. I do have a Facebook page too. It's just my regular name, just me, just Heather Lackey. Feel free to add me on there too. I'm starting to post more. So if you want to see some videos and clips on those little nuggets, that would be awesome. And then in the show notes, the document I provided, my email is at the bottom. Email is fine too, if that's how someone prefers to communicate. Email is great. I have a Spotlight Social email, and they can email me there.
Excellent. Kate, we'll get it all put in there. And thank you so much for your time. This was absolutely incredible. I know so many people are going to love this and be waiting for the next one. So until then, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I will talk to you soon.
Hey. Thank you for listening. Today's message was pure inspirational fire. I loved it so much. Hey, if you got a lot out of today's show and you think a friend of yours may love it too, please do me a quick favor. Screenshot the episode, post it, tag us at Ladies Kickin' Ass, or share the link to the episode. I'm here to help and support as many badasses as possible, and your generosity in sharing the show to your audience means the world to me. Don't forget to hit subscribe to be notified of all newly released episodes, and leaving the show a 5-star review is the ultimate expression of love. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the podcast, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook and we can chat further. There's also a link to connect in the show notes. Thank you for being part of our tribe. Now go kick some ass.